Welcome back to 10 Points in 10 Minutes, today with Angela Talent.
That's me. You are right. Okay. You ready?
Oh, very ready. Bring it on.
Okay. Okay. First thing is own your truth. So, for instance, I have disabilities and I was thinking about what it means and what, in some senses, owning your truth is like coming out like an LGBTQ person, especially if there's invisible disabilities or challenges, just own it and say, yeah, this is who I am. And, with physical disabilities, sometimes it's like being in a minority race group or something like that. You're judged before you get there, before they know you. Well, that's okay. Let them do them and own you because you're perfect the way you are. My second point, I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but I love this. It's the Chinese farmer's parable. So in the Chinese farmer's parable, there's a poor father and his son, and they have a horse on their ranch, and they work the ranch. And the horse runs away one day, and the neighbors come over and they're like, "Oh, you poor thing. That's the worst thing that's happened in the world." And the farmer says, "Good, bad, we will see." The horse comes back and brings a herd of wild horses, and the neighbors come in and they're like, "Wow, this is so great. What a great benefit." Well, the son starts training the horse and he falls off and breaks his leg. The neighbors come back again. "Oh, that's so horrible." Again, the father says, "Good, bad, I'm not sure. We will see." A war comes and all the neighbors' kids are conscripted to the army. And again, the neighbors come back and they're like, "Oh, and the son had broken his leg, right?" And they're like, "Oh, you're so lucky your son broke his leg." So anyway, this could go ad nauseum. So the whole point of the parable is, are you certain it's good? Are you certain it's bad? Maybe it just is. What you look for, you will find. So just look around your room and notice if there's anything black. Just anything. I'm betting when you look around your room, you made some things that weren't quite black, just because you could. And you don't even realize it, but your brain is doing it, right? So when you look for things, you will find them. If you're looking and assuming that people are out to get you, you will find ways. Your brain will subconsciously find ways to validate that. Same is true for if you believe you are valuable and you deserve blessings. If you are looking for it, you will find it. And it is much more fun to live there than it is to live believing the world is out to get you. Number 4, what you believe matters. So this and number 3 go a little bit together, because if you think you're not valuable, then you will believe you're not valuable. It's kind of like a confirmation bias, right? In scientific studies, what they've learned from psychological studies is that in order to prove a hypothesis, if you have a hypothesis, the best way to prove it is to try to disprove it, because then the confirmation bias goes out the door, because otherwise you're always looking for ways to prove that it's right if you believe you're right. So try to disprove. So if you believe I'm not valuable, if that's something you say to yourself, try to disprove that. It's really hard if you look around at your life, because people, I bet, are showing up and you have things. Number 5, listen to and follow your heart. It's important. When it's really difficult sometimes, if you don't know how to listen to your heart, to figure that out. So here are just a couple of tips to listen to your heart. Take a few long, slow, deep breaths in and a few long, slow, deep breaths out. Now take that focus and focus on your heart. You can put your hand there or just imagine that the breath is flowing in and out of your heart, and just listen. Just listen. Your heart will tell you. Number 6, my experience of you happens inside of me, and your experience of me happens inside of you. So my perception of who you are is very different than your neighbor or your friend or your husband or your wife or your children, anyone, because they have this idea you have a role in their life, and there are stories they tell themselves about who you are that may or may not be true. So just remember, part of that's up to you. Number 7, I love this one. So a fish goes on a journey and they're trying to find the fullness of life. I mean, they are searching high and low, far and wide, and they come back after years of searching and searching and searching. And the old wise man in their little town sees them and says, What's going on? Why are you so despondent? What's going on? Well, I went out to find, the purpose of life and all of these things, and like the source of life, right? And that presence that you can feel, and every once in a while you'll feel like, okay, this world is bigger than it really is, right? Or there's more to it than we even realize. Well, the older fish looks around and says, well, it's called by many names. I call it water. And then there's, of course, the elephant's parable, where you've got the 5 old men arguing about what an elephant is. So one of them says that it's slender and sharp like a spear, and another one says no, it's long and round like a snake and flexible, and another one says no, it's like a tree trunk, and the one grabbing the tail is like no, it's like a rope, and I think the one grabbing the ears like no, it's like leather, right? Well, none of them had it exactly wrong. It's just they only had parts of the story. So, which leads into number 9, which is seeing things in 3D. So when you see things in 3D, so for instance, right now I'm having a conversation with you, really a little bit of a monologue that I'm probably going very fast on.
You're just perfect.
And if someone else were standing next to me, they would have another experience. So let's call my personal experience 2-dimensional, because I have a perspective and a perception. And I have a quote I wrote a long time ago: perspective and perception are the deciding factors which lead to choice. So depending on where I'm standing and what I'm seeing, I will make decisions, right? Well, if I've got someone right next to me in the same experience, but a different perspective and even if they're standing right next to me, they still aren't where I am. And then their perception, because their life experiences are different. So what happens when we put those 2 views together? Now we've got 3D. It's no longer just 2-dimensional, it's 3-dimensional. So, which leads to the very last point of mine. It is so important that we know who we are and stand tall in that. And there's something special that happens when we stop and just say, I am. Not I am Angela, not I am creative, not I am, just I am, not I am anything. Just I am. And being that I am is enough. It doesn't have to be any more than I am.
Beautiful.
And that's my 10 points.
Beautiful. Angela Talent in a nutshell. And these are wonderful points to live by. Thank you so much. I'm humbled for you to be on my show again. You guys out there, you have heard it all. I can't say it in better words. Look after yourself. Bye.
Bye.